Hello. For months, I've been spending some of my free time producing videos revolving around careful analysis of each zone for its leveling value, as well as putting together a tier list of zones based on the information gained from the latter. Today, I have decided to take a more in-depth look at the actual aspect of the game which my videos are based on, and that is leveling, and how to maximize value gained out of time invested into leveling your character. In other words, getting to 120 ASAP. To achieve this objective, I recommend using one of the few methods I have compiled through thorough research of the game and having leveled many characters myself. Starting off with method number 1. The name impression. Now, this really isn't a method, but it is a vital ingredient towards enhancing your performance when you choose to level your character by following one of my leveling methods. Many people who are invested into finding ways to level their characters effectively often throw themselves so deep into things like theory crafting that they often forget the very basics. And the basics are important. World of Warcraft is specific for being solely an online game, and a lot of it revolves around developing social interactions and relationships with other players you encounter. Social interaction between other players is an organic, evolving matter, but one thing that never changes throughout your time playing the game is your name. Because you're likely to stumble upon many people throughout the course of your leveling experience, it's important to find a name which will be suitable towards enhancing first impressions. Basically, you want to get noticed. You will find out why in the later methods. Method number 2. Killing Boars. The mere mention of this method probably invokes memories of a particular animated TV series. Back at that time, however, the method of killing boars was considered a joke, used as one of the main driving forces to support the comedic spirit of the episode. Nevertheless, when I said it was a joke, I meant it. Killing boars was considered a joke because back at that time, World of Warcraft hadn't received a single expansion yet. We've come a long way since, and the game has evolved to the point where leveling was made more linear and the requirements to ding are not so harsh anymore. Unknown to most, this has made the tactic of killing boars viable. Back in vanilla, you needed to kill this many boars to level all the way to 60.
65,340,285.
This is no longer the case. Throughout the course of the game's lifespan, the experience values of each level have decreased drastically. We know that back in vanilla, a total of 65,340,285 had to be killed in order to achieve what was then the max level needed. Using my advanced knowledge of mathematics, I can safely deduce that the required amount of boars that need to die today in order to reach max level is 130,680,570 boars. This is because the max level today is 120, which is double the amount of vanilla's max level. World of Warcraft, after all, is a game that prides itself on simplicity, so we are allowed to apply simple mathematics here. Now we can continue by taking into account that many hotfixes and nerfs have been applied to the amount of XP required to level up throughout the lifespan of the game. Percentage-wise, this should be somewhere around 60% less XP, let's go with that. At last, we can see that the true amount of boars that you need to kill is 52,272,228. Now you might be wondering, Porcupine, that is an absurdly huge amount of boars. And I agree, 78,408,342 boars is a fuck ton to deal with. Thankfully, they're no longer part of the equation. The reason why I rate this method so high is that it has a somewhat unexpected side effect to a player's mentality. It turns out that the illusion of the method taking so much time helps instill discipline in a player's mind and steel the player's nerves. This clever form of psychological exercise has long-term benefits, which may later be used to level other characters, because by then, the level of apathy and impassiveness you have achieved should render you fully immune to all sorts of distractions, like how boring leveling generally tends to be, or the increasing worry of your parents when they see you waste away in front of a computer screen. Method number 3. Killing boars with the help of a max level character. It's been proven time and time again that mobs die faster when damaged by a character who has already achieved max level. In Battle for Azeroth, this is especially true due to scaling. The procedure is easy. You simply need someone with a max level character to help you kill boars. And this is where method number 1 also comes into play. You will mostly be dealing with strangers, as this video is mainly directed towards the general audience of WoW, so I wisely assume that you have no friends. Because you have never met these people before, method number 1 offers you the advantage of a higher chance at grabbing a person's attention with your somewhat distinct and honest name. This will greatly accelerate the pace at which you may execute method number 3. The advantage of this method is somewhat similar to that of method number 2, except this time, and if your partner turns out to be dedicated to the welfare of your character and true to your desires, your new max level friend will end up profiting from the psychological benefits imposed by this method, which I have already mentioned previously. It's a win-win situation. Method number 4. Killing mobs in large packs with AoE. Much like my many methods at leveling new characters, it's proven that the most XP you can squeeze out of the mobs you kill is not by killing them one by one, but in a huge pack, and later making heavy use of AoE abilities to gun them down. This will logically save you a lot of time. The key issue is that many players who seek to employ this strategy is that pulling a lot of mobs means that you will suffer a lot of damage dealt to you, inevitably resulting in your death. This is especially the case with new players, I found. Fortunately, there is an easy way to subvert this problem. All classes in the game come with 3 unique specializations, most of which have access to the healer option. In the case of shamans, this spec is called restoration. You want to make sure to select this specialization when using method number 4, as you gain access to a wide array of spells which support your survival. The longer you can stay alive, the less likely it is that the large packs of mobs you pull will kill you, allowing you to perform without hindrance. Method number 5. Stacking Draught of 10 lands. In Battle for Azeroth, players can get access to a certain potion called Draught of 10 lands. This potion increases the XP you gain by 10%, as well as increasing your stats by 10. It's a very handy thing to have with you when you're leveling your character, but what I also encourage you to do is to buy as many of them as possible. The reason behind this is because you want to stack these potions. For example, if I use 3, I will receive a 30% XP bonus instead. Now that's what I call profit. Recently, however, there was a small crisis revolving around the use of this item. It turns out that Blizzard issued temporary suspensions to players who seemingly exploited the leveling potion. According to this article on Wowhead, it is specified that players discovered that the potion could be used repeatedly, creating multiple instances of the buff to combine their effects. This is undeniably not how the potion is meant to work, and I completely agree with Blizzard's judgment towards players who abuse this bugged mechanic. However, in method number 5, we are not creating multiple instances of the buff, we only have one. Unfortunately, the potion happens to be slightly bugged due to how it improperly displays information, or not at all. Here you can see that the buff has no duration whatsoever, whereas in reality, the duration is 1 hour. Despite me having used the potion at least over 5 times, it still shows that my XP bonus is 10%. Yet again, another bug. Now, recent events around the Draught exploit serves as evidence that Blizzard has a tendency to deal with people who like to rely on buffs and items beneficial to leveling rather harshly. Method number 6 is what I call the just to be sure method. This method prioritizes reducing your chance over getting banned by Blizzard by eliminating all forms of XP bonuses you can possibly obtain in this game. As you can see, I have removed all the heirlooms from my character for this exact purpose. You might think this is foolish, but you never know if the heirlooms themselves are bugged as well, which we don't know, but you don't want to find out after it's too late. Method number 7 is somewhat minor. I call it the lone wolf. Over time, you will notice that some guilds are somewhat eager at making you a proud member of a group of people you have never heard before. This may unfortunately be the only negative side effect of method number 1. The lone wolf method dictates that you should decline all guild invites with extreme prejudice. True enough, being in a guild affords you a couple of passive bonuses, like a reduction to your Hearthstone cooldown, as well as increased mount speed. But the core of the problem lies at the fact that you are needlessly and perhaps potentially exposing yourself to an overabundance of social interaction. As Mark Twain once said, "Too much of anything is bad." but too many boars to kill is barely enough. And that's it. I sincerely hope that this video was insightful enough to help you learn something new. Hopefully, the time and sweat that it cost me to conduct the research was worth it. As always, thanks for watching. Goodbye.